What's up, everybody? Welcome to the next episode of Devin the Bear, the first episode of 2022, where we will be reviewing 2021. First, we want to address an issue that we had, which was our Instagram being taken down by Instagram without warning, and we're not 100% sure on why. Everything was just taken down, and we couldn't find our account. So we do have a new Instagram. It's still Devin the Bear, just no spaces, no caps, just Devin the Bear on Instagram. And then we also have a Facebook. So we will be updating both. So please follow both. Help us get back to where we were. We have a lot of new things in store this year that we're really excited for. But yeah, let's start talking about last year.
Let's get into it.
So 2021 was a pretty fun year for the UFC, which is where we're going to really focus on. We'll talk about some other organizations as well later on, but we're going to start focusing on the UFC just because that's, the casual.
Yeah.
It's just the biggest eye grabber. So we saw a lot of crazy stuff in the UFC this year, and we're going to talk about some of that. So we're going to start with the best debut of 2021, which I have Paddy Pimblett. It's a really good fight. He looks bad in the first round, but shows that he's a scouser and doesn't get knocked out, as he claims, and comes back and gets the knockout win, and just catapults himself into the kind of stardom that fighters like Sean O'Malley have. And Sean O'Malley's been in the UFC for, 5-6 years?
Yeah.
And Paddy Pimblett's had one fight, and he's already there, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely I can definitely see why you picked him as the debut of the year. I mean, he came in and he did exactly what we expected of him. He has such a strong backing. He had a cult following, I would say, amongst hardcore fans. I mean, Sean O'Malley is definitely a star for sure, but he didn't have the following that Paddy Pimblett had. When he made his debut, he was at the Apex Center. And it was a small arena. I mean, it wasn't even really much of an arena. It was like walking to a gym. And the
Did
fans
it have a crowd?
They had a small crowd, and most of them were there for Paddy Pimblett. But that card also had a lot of English fighters on it as well. Jack Shore, Molly McCann. And so, he came through and he knocked that dude out. It was a great fight. He took a great shot as well and gave one right back. But so for my debut of the year, mine is going to be Michael Chandler. I think, and I can definitely see why you didn't say Michael Chandler though, because Michael Chandler is already, he's
so established.
That's the word I was looking for. He's already established. He's been doing this for years, and a lot of people knew who he was. People who mainly just watched the UFC didn't really know who he was, but I think to walk in there and just knock out a guy like Dan Hooker like that, and to not really get touched. He got hit with a couple leg kicks, but. To just drop one punch, go in there for the finish and get it. I mean, we only ever they reminded me of when Anderson Silva debuted and fought Chris Lieben. It was one of those types of debuts. He went in there, did work, barely got touched, and had a great call out to Khabib. Even though Khabib didn't take it, it was still he put the whole division on notice, not only with his fight but with his call outs as well to everybody.
Yeah, it definitely is weird to look at Michael Chandler as a debut fighter. That's just a weird thought. It was his debut, so just that is what it is. I wasn't surprised that Michael Chandler was capable of that. I was surprised that it happened to Dan Hooker so quickly. So I can't argue, but let us know your thoughts on who had the best debut of the year. And as we go down the list, just let us know your thoughts for each of these topics, these categories. The next one is going to be the bounce back fighter of the year. So the fighter who had maybe a rough previous year and came back and looked real good in 2021. And mine is going to be Anthony Smith. Just his losses were really bad against Glover Teixeira.
Anthony Rakic.
They were just disappointing. Yeah. And the kind of stuff that completely derails your career. But he came back and looked really sharp with his striking against Jimmy Crute. I think that fight alone makes me just completely believe in him again.
Yeah, he came in with a purpose for that fight, and he was there to show it. You know,
It was very impressive. So as far as like a bounce back fighter, I think it's Anthony Smith all the way.
yeah,
Because the loss he took against Glover Teixeira was so freaking bad.
yeah,
And that's not to like take anything away from him. Glover Teixeira is the champion now.
Right.
So, you lost to a champion.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but he was getting annihilated by a freaking near 50-year-old man. He's 40-year-old man.
Did nothing with it. But, yeah, I mean, and also my comeback, bounce back of the year, I guess, would also be Anthony Smith. I mean, it's hard not to pick him. There are plenty of other fighters that we could have picked. Like Jim Miller was one of them that I was really considering. He had a great knockout win recently, but with Anthony Smith, it's just like he came into this year, didn't have a lot of respect anymore. Everyone just was like, I guess, your title shot was just more of like a give me, really. Yeah. And he was looked at more as a gatekeeper than anything. And then he comes in with his fight with Jimmy Crute. Excites that crowd. It sucked with the fight ended the way it did with Jimmy Crute's leg, pretty much his nerve getting messed up in that fight. But then he comes in and he fights Ryan Spahn. And, I mean, he completely went to war with Ryan Spahn. Yeah. I think he put himself back on the map as in, don't sleep on him. He's not here to sit here and just be looked at as a gatekeeper or a journeyman, because he's definitely not that. He's a tough guy who's been around the sport for a very long time. And so I'm excited to see what 2022 has in store for that guy.
Yeah. He's also very well-spoken. So seeing him, if he were a champion one day, I'd love to see... I would like to see him go to some of those like big round table press events they have. I think that'd be pretty interesting.
He's very well spoken too.
Yeah.
So.
So the next category is going to be the breakthrough fighter of the year. This one I think was pretty hard. There are a lot of fighters who had really good years, but this would be a fighter who didn't just have a good year. They like propelled themselves from levels of popularity, levels of talent, and then they just brought it to a completely different level, which is repetitive. I'm sorry. But mine is going to be Islam Makhachev, because what he went from being he's breaking himself away from the Dagestani wrestler person, because he can do so much more than that, and he's shown that. He has annihilated people. Yeah. He's going in there and beating everybody, and he's calling everyone out while he's doing it. Right. So he went from being someone who was kind of just another face in the crowd, and he's definitely separated himself from that crowd, and now he's already in title talks. So I'm pretty excited to see what he can do. Definitely my breakthrough fighter of the year.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a good one. And I think Makhachev, we all knew him as Khabib's cousin, and now we're just seeing that, okay, this is Khabib 2.0.
Exactly.
I mean, there's more than likely we'll see him fighting for a title this year. And so my breakthrough fighter of the year is actually Andre Muniz. I mean, he's a prospect, he's up and coming, and this was, like you said, this was a hard one, because there was a lot of great fighters who were coming up, and we're getting to know who they are. I mean, especially with this, I mean, I could just name them off, one pro weight class, guys like Kai Kara France, guys like Adrian Yanez, getting into featherweight. There's guys like Josh Emmett, who just came back and had a great win. But with Andre Muniz, though, the reason why I chose him is because he is pretty much got thrown into the Shark Tank with his fight this year against Jacare back in May. And he goes in there and he breaks Jacare's arm in such a gruesome way. I mean, it was ended up being a technical submission. Jacare didn't have time to tap by the time that arm snapped. And so with that, though, he also has a win over Eric Anders at the last pay-per-view card.
Another
armbar. And he got that arm in, and he was not letting go of it. And I'm excited to see what we see next with him. A fight that I'm looking forward to with him in 2022 will be against Rodolfo Vieira.
That would be a good fight. Yeah. I would be excited to see him against Gerald Meerschaert.
That would be fun, too.
The only reason I don't want that to happen is because I don't want to see one of those guys lose to each other.
Because Gerald Meerschaert's currently on a streak to where he's bringing his career back after the loss to Hazmat. I mean, he got in front of a train, and
but now he's created his own train.
Yeah, slowly but surely. And so, or we might even see Andre Muniz finally fight Jerkis Duplessis.
Yeah, that's another one where it's two guys. Oh, we got a little loud there. That's another one where it's two guys who are really shooting through the ranks, and if they meet, someone's gonna have to lose.
Oh, for sure. It's gonna be a tough one. So,
but yeah, so the next category is going to be the prospect of the year. This is another one where there's a lot of people who could have been this one. Like you just listed, Andre Muniz is another prospect, and definitely prospect of the year material. Mine is actually going to be Casey O'Neill. She went 3-0 in 2021.
Yeah.
All of them finishes. You don't see a lot of that in that division. Someone who can consistently put together finishes as vicious as hers are. She puts people to sleep, whether it's on the ground or whether it's on the feet. That rhymed. But yeah, that's going to be my prospect of the year.
okay. So my prospect for the year is going to be Rafael Vazif. I think
that's a good one.
Yeah, he had some great fights this year, and his spinning wheel kick on somebody like Brad Riddell was just, I see somebody who has such a vast knowledge of striking like Brad Riddell get knocked out by a kick like that. It's absolutely insane. He's another guy I would say that he's kind of separating himself from these Dagestani guys and these Russian guys. He made it very, very clear after his fight with Bobby Green that he's not here to wrestle, he's here to fight. And he's here to throw down with these guys, and he's put on nothing but great fights. I think, like I told you, whenever their fight was on the Veer take card, and I was like, that's going to be the best fight of the night for sure. I know it is, and it was. His fight with Bobby Green was fight of the year candidate. I mean, he goes out there and he puts on a show every single time. So I'm ready to see. I'm excited to see where his career goes with that. One of the fights that I hope to see eventually is going to be Vazif versus Chandler. I hope Vazif works his way up pretty quick up the rankings to see that fight. Cause
I'd like to see that. That'd be a fun fight.
Yeah.
That'd be a different version of Chandler and Gaethje.
Yeah, and Vazif also does train on Pator Yan. For people that don't know that, he trains over at Tiger Muay Thai in Phuket. So,
but yeah, that's a pretty good one. He's also really fun on the mic.
Mm-hmm.
He's very fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, next category would be upset of the year. And while there were a lot of pretty big upsets, I can't help but feel like this one's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Juliana Pena beating Amanda Nunes.
Yep.
I don't care who you are. I picked it. We both picked it on verdict. We didn't think that was going to happen, though.
Yeah, I mean, it was with the verdict stuff is like you kind of bet on black because of the fact being that it's like, man, like, let me just get some points. So especially when Amanda Nunes is fighting, because even if you bet points on her, like, you're not going to get that much. And you're trying to maximize your profit pretty much. It's almost like, like the hedge funds. You're trying to get as much as you can out of it. And I don't even know if that's what hedge funds are, but probably not. And so, so I mean, with that fight, it was like, well, let's just pick her. And then I think I picked her by second round knockout.
I think I had her by decision.
Yeah, and so I mean, she ended up getting that win, and I mean, who would have expected that? I don't think anybody did, except for Israel Adesanya's dad.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah, apparently that guy's super good at the verdict app, and so he knows what he's looking at. But I mean, that's just, there's no other way to put it. I mean, it's been explained enough as it is since the day it's happened. That right there, dude. I mean, to see Juliana Pena go in there and beat the greatest women's fighter of all time, like Amanda Nunes, the way that she did, and took her into deep waters, make a comeback like that as well.
I think that could have been, if we were to have the category of comeback of the year, I think that I would have that one as it, because that first round was rough for Juliana Pena. She went back to her corner freaking out because she was completely lost out there. Yeah. But then the second round, her corner did their thing, and the second round she went out there and made it hers. Yeah. And took a title home with her. Yeah. The next would be submission of the year, and I feel like mine is going to be not everyone's favorite, but I also think it's kind of obvious why I pick it. It's Jillian Robertson submitting Priscilla Cachoeira. Jillian Robertson got her in a rear naked choke without even needing her hooks in with her legs, and she was getting her eyes gouged out while getting the choke. Yeah. Pretty freaking dirty. But that was wild, and I was very happy she got that choke. because just sitting there watching this lady reach for her eyes
multiple times,
very intentionally. I was so happy that she fought through it to get the choke. I can't imagine how painful it was to have someone jam their thumb in your eyes with the ref just staring you in the face like, but she just kept going with the choke, and I think that's pretty freaking nuts.
Yeah, I mean, it was, man, I mean, to deal
maybe
with some
it's a
pain
recency
like
bias, but
I mean, maybe a little bit, but I don't think so either, though. I mean, I know you're
getting
a
your
fan
eyes gouged out.
Yeah, exactly. I know you're a big fan of Jillian Robertson as well. So, I mean, I completely can see why that's, you know, with the amount of adversity to deal with having a thumb in your eye while dealing with that can be tough. But my submission of the year is actually Anthony Fluffy Hernandez versus Rodolfo Vieira. And so that was a guillotine win for Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. Rodolfo Vieira is a multiple-time Jiu-Jitsu world champion. Came to the UFC, and tons of hype behind him. And Anthony Hernandez comes back from adversity after dealing with Rodolfo. Rodolfo ends up gassing himself out a little bit in that fight. And you saw that Anthony Hernandez was just ready for him. He was ready to go into deep waters against a multiple-time world champion. And he got in an arm-in guillotine, which is not easy to get in the first place, especially on a guy who is literally a world champion for doing these kinds of things.
Jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, and so he it's just, I don't know, it's absolutely nuts. I was trying to make a joke, but I just couldn't at the time. And so he I don't know, man, like, it's just such an impressive thing to see. And then they asked Anthony Hernandez about it after, and he said he even told his coaches, like, I'm gonna get a guillotine for the win. And his coaches were like, dude, don't even try to go to the ground with him. Like, what are you thinking? It didn't happen. And so,
Fluffy.
Right. I feel like if I was a fighter, I would record what I expect the outcome to be beforehand, you know?
Yeah. That would be pretty funny. I think fighters should totally do that. Just sitting at home, being like, if I were to take myself out of the equation, like, you know, outer body experience, how does this fight go down? This is what I think.
Yeah, I mean, I wish fighters did. And the thing is, if you're wrong, you don't have to post it, so it's all good. But props to Anthony Hernandez for, in my opinion, getting submission of the year.
All right, and the next one's gonna be knockout of the year. And we had a lot of candidates for this. There were a lot of wild knockouts this year. It was really hard. I picked mine. I feel like it's pretty obvious why. But it's actually going to be Chris Barnett.
Knew it.
Knocking out old boy.
Gian Villante.
Gian Villante, yeah. I was about to call him Jersey Boy. Just seeing someone like Chris Barnett, who's so athletic, throwing a spinning back kick like that.
He's so fat. Like,
I'll never get over that. That is... I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. Roy Nelson never did anything like that for fat people.
This guy is a fat man advocate, and I love it.
Chris Barnett is a very special human being. And that kind of knockout is hard to see. And what's even crazier is we saw a lot of spinning back kick knockouts this year.
Hopefully Hunter Campbell doesn't decide to be a dick and cut him after his next couple fights.
Why would he cut him?
Because Hunter Campbell's an asshole, dude.
Well... he's exciting. I don't think he would cut him. But, we saw a lot of spinning back kick knockouts. We saw Bahamendez? Yeah. We saw him get a pretty wild one. That was one I was considering. But that one just stuck with me.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see why. You don't ever see a heavyweight do something like that, especially of his stature. He's 5'9", 265 pounds.
And not only did he... land it and get the knockout, but it was a very clean technique. His taekwondo is pristine. So just seeing someone like that with such clean technique is very refreshing for the heavyweight division. Like Cyril Gane, that's Cyril Gane level technique. And just you look at them two and compare the two, and you wouldn't think that they should share the octagon.
No, and so
but one day they will.
Yeah, hopefully, I would love to see it. And so. For my knockout of the year, mine is, and you're not going to like this, it's Corey Sandhagen knocking out Frankie Edgar.
No, that I get it. I get it. I mean, so sad, but I get it.
A walk-off knee like that.
Flying knee to just starch Frankie Edgar.
His coaches made such a good read, trained that with him, and let him know when to throw it. And he threw it so effortlessly, just right up the middle, perfect timing and everything. If he was just maybe a second too early or too soon, Edgar would have dodged it. He knew exactly when to throw that knee.
Yeah.
And it's just, I almost forgot that knockout happened this year because we've had so many great knockouts this year.
Yeah.
It's like, since this is our first, like year in review kind of thing that we're doing, since we started in April, to like really go back and think about all these great knockouts, I was like, damn, like this is,
it was a good year.
Yeah, it was a great year. And so especially, I mean, the amount of stuff that we saw this year is crazy, dude. I mean, knockout of the year could have went to, on any pay-per-view card, it could have been right then and there,
Yeah. I think Yuri Prochazka was the one that a lot of people talked about.
Yeah.
And I was just like, yeah, spinning back out. It's really cool, and it's pretty freaking lethal. Obviously, what he did to Dominic Reyes was sad seeing Dominic Reyes' face hit the floor.
Oh, man.
But it's hard when you look at knockouts like Frankie Edgar's getting knocked out by that flying knee.
Yeah.
Or the front kick by Chito Vera on Frankie
that
Edgar.
was almost on mine as well.
That was so good, too.
Yeah.
Or how about the flying knee by Alex Bahia?
Yeah.
It's another debut fight of the year that could have been up there. But there was just so many knockouts. Cody Garbrandt, was that this year or last year?
Last year.
On a Sunsao? Okay,
Yeah.
I thought so.
I think he won knockout of the year for that one.
Yeah. It was either him or Joaquin Buckley. When was Joaquin Buckley? 2019?
I think, no, it was 2020. That's who got knockout of the year.
Okay. But yeah, so that'll bring us to Coach of the Year, which I don't care what anybody says. You can't argue this one.
Yeah.
Trevor Whitman.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no arguing. I know a lot of people said Eugene Berriman, but it's like, okay, I get the thought process there, but only one of those guys is a champion.
Yeah, well, two.
Two?
Yeah, Volkanovski.
Oh, yeah, right.
And he's had a good year as well. Well,
yeah.
I mean, he had one fight. But still, it was a
but
great
he looked
fight.
amazing.
Yeah.
But two.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Trevor Whitman with Kamaru Usman, Rose Namajunas, Justin Gaethje.
The dude went undefeated this year. That's my coach of the year as well. I mean, you can't deny that. I mean, to see the guys that Trevor Whitman used to work with, he worked with guys like Nate Marquardt and Shane Carwin, and now he decided to downsize. And he still works with other guys, but his main focus are those three fighters.
Yeah.
And they train up at the Onyx Gym up in Colorado.
He works with a heavyweight fighter. Who is it?
It's not coming to mind right now, but I know he does also work with Drew Dober.
Okay, yeah.
And so...
but yeah, the reason that we picked Trevor Whitman isn't just because he went undefeated or because the people he has as champion, because I know a lot of people want to argue, well, that's the fighters, not him. That's their talent. And it's like, yes, but look at them before Trevor Whitman.
Yeah.
They were one-dimensional almost.
Yeah.
Rose Namajunas is probably, I think, the biggest example of how much he changed her fighting style. Because Kamaru Usman, he's changing Kamaru Usman a lot.
Yeah.
But Kamaru Usman's still a little sloppy.
Yeah.
With his striking. And then Justin Gaethje, a little bit too.
Yeah.
He's still very much Justin Gaethje, but yeah. I don't know. It's hard. Trevor Whitman changed fighters' lives with what he taught.
Not only with their styles, but also their mentalities to things as well. To see somebody like Trevor Whitman come into somebody like Rose Namajunas' life and to see what he's done with her and to how much he's improved with her, made her improve. Also, her husband, Pat Barry, has a lot to do with that. But, we saw Justin Gaethje, who, I mean, had, a great year. He only fought once. We saw Kamaru Usman, who defended the title 3 times this year. 3 times. And all of those were finishes. Oh, excuse me. 2 of those were finishes. One of them was almost a finish.
One of them. Was that the...
It was Covington.
Oh, right.
The Covington 2 fight. It was almost
Which,
a finish.
if it weren't for those 2 rounds...
Yeah.
Where I believe that Covington won anyway. But at the very least, he had 1 round. I don't care what that one judge said.
He had, in my opinion, 4 and 5. But he just decided to turn up a little too late. And... I think Usman just came in, much better boxing and came in ready to start off where they left off,
He came in ready to be the champion.
Yeah. And Covington was just a step behind. I don't know really too much. I guess he decided to play more defensive, and that just wasn't working in his style.
Sorry about that. We had technical difficulties. We were talking about Coach of the Year, but we're going to go ahead and move on to the next category, which is going to be the Female Fighter of the Year, which I think that mine is going to be Rose Namajunas.
We need to really work on these lists. I'm just kidding because mine's Rose Namajunas as well.
Yeah. She had a really good year.
Yeah.
There are so many people I think that could have been here. I want to say Casey O'Neill. She went 3-0.
Yeah.
Or you could say Valentina Shevchenko.
Yeah.
But just what Rose did as far as like for her stock in the UFC, what she did to someone like Weili Zhang is insane.
Yeah.
And she did it twice.
I mean, to see what she did, like you said, she did it twice, but she came back. And we've seen Rose Namajunas, and if you look into her and you look into her story and to who she is, she's very shy. She has a lot of anxiety issues as well, and I think that shows a lot of humility in the human side of these fighters that we all look up to. You know, because a lot of these people have stories that we can all admire and find inspiration in, and I think Rose Namajunas is the biggest one for it. No matter who you are, if you're a 20-year-old dude looking for a reason just to keep on going, or if you're a 13-year-old girl who's trying to get through another day at junior high. I mean, you look at Rose Namajunas and see the things that she done and the messages that she sends out, along with just like what she's done this year. I mean, whenever she was sitting there, after she won the belt, she has her husband right there telling her she's the best, and and she's saying, I'm the best fighter. It's just such a feel-good movie. Yeah, I'm the best. And then you even made Joe Rogan cry. Come on, I mean, that's how you know it was an emotional moment for everybody watching. And I mean, it felt like a night that we all won. Even though I'm a big fan of Zhang Weili, it was just really really tough to watch her lose. But Rose Namajunas, and then coming back and then solidifying that she is the better fighter with that next fight, and it's such a technical fight, and some people found the fight a little boring, but I liked it because it showed like at the pace that they kept was the same exact from the first to the fifth round, and seeing how good she is, man. I mean, I'm excited to see what 2022 has in store for her. We're more than likely going to see Rose versus Carla Esparza 2, and I mean, there's
once Carla comes back from her
cut,
big gash in her eye.
Yeah, so hopefully that'll be sooner than later, because that's a fight I'm definitely looking forward to. So
yeah, that'll bring us to the male fighter of the year, which Kamaru Usman.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's hard. It's the same, basically all the same reasons we had for just Trevor Whitman being coach of the year.
Yeah.
Kamaru Usman, like you said, went out there and did it 3 times. And 2 of them were finishes, and at that level, it's hard to get those finishes.
Yeah.
And being a wrestler who goes out there and is knocking people out, and not in a way where the stereotypical wrestler who falls in love with his hands. Look what he did to Jorge Masvidal, knockout of the year candidate right there. He put him down. It was so freaking bad. I don't think that we'll ever see Jorge Masvidal get knocked out like that. Which I know we saw the same exact combination early in his career, but that was on another level of power. I would really like to see anyone try to argue for male fighter of the year.
I'm listening. Just your dog is the cutest fucking thing right now. So follow her on Instagram, Arctic Astrid. So, but yeah, no, I completely agree 100% with everything you said when it comes to. When it comes down to Kamaru Usman, I mean, it's hard to not say he's fighter of the year just because of the fact that he is completely reinvented himself as a fighter. People always thought he was a boring wrestler. And it wasn't for fights like, after he won the title against Tyron Woodley, wasn't for fights like Colby Covington or, that really brought a lot out of him. His fight with Jorge Masvidal kind of really slowed things down to him the first time they fought. It slowed a lot of things down, and I think a lot of people were kind of over him. Yeah. But then when he comes out and knocks out a guy like Gilbert Burns with a jab, and then he comes in and hits such a nice right hand on Jorge Masvidal back in April to solidify that he is the greatest welterweight on the planet right now. And then to have another fight against his pretty much his arch nemesis Colby Covington, is just another great fight as well.
Marty fake news.
Yeah, Marty from Nebraska is right now, in my opinion, the pound for pound best in the world right now, and on his way to being the greatest welterweight of all time. Yeah, I said that.
All right. I mean, I won't argue that he's on the way.
Yeah, he's on the way. I won't say he is. I think he's got a couple more things to knock out before he
like another weight division.
No, like clear out the entire welterweight division. There's a lot more guys that we're seeing coming up. What's that?
Never mind.
Like just like GSP did, I mean,
well,
like
GSP also went up, and
Yeah, but he fought. Yeah, he did go up.
But that's different because it's a different weight class.
Yeah,
I
and so
bring that up.
if Kamaru Usman can get past guys like, Vicente Luque, who there's another name to mention like Sean Brady's gonna be up there eventually. Khamzat Chimaev is gonna be there. I mean, I know I'm missing some other people in the welterweight division, but he's got a fucking killer's row in front of him.
Vicente Luque is definitely going to be one of the hardest tests he's going to have.
Yeah,
I think.
And Vicente Luque has incredible striking compared to somebody like Gilbert Burns, and they train together, and he's trained with Kamaru Usman.
And he was very open with how their training went.
Yeah,
he trained with Kamaru Usman before, and he said like, "Oh, he beat me up a lot, but there were times where I was like, okay, I think I could beat this guy, and I see how I could."
Yeah.
Brendan Shaw was asking him about the questions.
Yeah.
And he ended up saying like, "Oh, well, what are one of the ways you could think you could beat him?" And he's just like, "I'm not gonna say."
So I'm a big fan of the Silent Assassin, so I'm hoping he has a great 2022 as well.
That brings us to the final category we have, which is going to be the fight of the year. It's another one, unfortunately, that seems pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Michael Chandler, Justin Gaethje.
How can you not? Honestly, we had some amazing fights in 2021. We had Poirier versus McGregor 2. We had Holloway versus Rodriguez. That's a name of one as well. I mean, there's just, the list goes on and on. My mind goes blank because I can't really look past
what we saw.
Yeah.
That definitely rivaled Rory McDonald and Robbie Lawler.
Yeah, I think it did because, if anything, I think it's better than that fight. And the only reason why I say that is because from all three rounds were that good, while with the with Lawler versus McDonald 2, it was really only the middle of the third and the fourth round that were really good in that fight, because that fight was a little bit of a stalemate when it starts off, but no one really remembers that,
Yeah.
And so that's why I think with Chandler versus Gaethje, that was definitely fight of the year. And I mean, shit, in 10 years from now, I'm hoping we get to say that was fight of the decade, because that fight's never going to get old. It's such a timeless fight, and for anybody who wants to get into the sport, I think that's the fight they need to watch. I might watch it again tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've only watched it once.
It's your leisure watching.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just going to go to sleep to watch these guys beat their faces in.
I want, like I said, the episode where we talked about that fight, I would watch them fight every time, even if they like completely took themselves off of the rankings just to fight each other.
Yeah,
I'd pay to watch it.
To be honest with you, I think if they rematch, Justin Gaethje knocks him out.
I think so too. Yeah. I was surprised he didn't knock him out.
Yeah, and I'm such a big Chandler fan. I think I think we would get in arguments about how big of a fan I am of Michael Chandler, and so with that though, I just think Justin Gaethje just showed more of an edge. But it's hard because I thought Michael Chandler won that fight though.
I don't think so. I think it is definitely Justin Gaethje.
Yeah, maybe I need to. Like I said, I only watched it once, so I thought Chandler took the first and third round, but.
Yeah, so we wanted to do a few honorable mentions as well. We're just going to throw out names who could have gotten knockout of the year, prospect of the year, submission of the year, any of those. But people like Adrian Yanez, prospect of the year, breakthrough fight of the year. He could be either of those.
Yeah, I mean, he's put himself on the map. He's putting Houston on the map. He's keeping the legacy of the late and great Coach Saul Solis going. And it's such an awesome thing to see, with him in the Metro the Metro Fight Club guys going.
And
I almost said Metro Station. I was trying not to say it so many times. But, I mean, and just see what he's doing. Leo Mano Martinez has a fight coming up real soon as well, so keep an eye out for that guy. Like, anytime I talk with anybody, because I actually went to school with Adrian, but me and him were never talked. He was a couple years older than me. And anytime I talk with guys who knew Adrian, I tell them to keep an eye out for Leo Mano as well.
yeah,
And just that's for the reason being, like, he's a Houston fighter. He's in the UFC. We're gonna,
support our boys.
support one of Adrian's guys.
Support our troops.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it's a guy also that we'll be looking out for. But just to see the ground that Adrian Yanez is breaking is incredible.
Yeah. You have a rookie who, not just he himself is calling out someone like Sean O'Malley, but the fans want it.
Yeah.
And that's not just home fans.
Yeah.
People want to see that fight. So that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah. Teddy Atlas bragged about this guy all the time. And that should say something.
That says something for sure.
Yeah.
Another, I think, name that's up there, like you were saying, Andre Muniz, I think he could be in multiple categories.
Yeah.
And then you said Rafael Vazif, but I think someone else who surprisingly could be in both of those categories for Breakthrough Fighter of the Year or Submission of the Year is Charles Oliveira.
Yeah. That was my original pick for Breakthrough Fighter of the Year.
And he was mine as well.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people might disagree with that. If you made it this far in the episode, let us know if you disagree with that, because we're about to explain why Charles Oliveira could be a Breakthrough Fighter of the Year. Yeah. Before 2021, not many people expected him to beat anybody for the championship.
Yeah.
Almost all of his fights, he's the underdog.
Yeah.
Even for this fight against Dustin Poirier, he's the underdog.
Yeah.
But now I think he had the fighters' respect, but no one else respected him.
Even some of the fighters didn't respect him.
Yeah, I would agree to that too.
Mainly, it was guys that were in his weight division.
Yeah, they don't see him as a threat because of his past, but it's like he hasn't lost since then.
Yeah.
So I never understood it, but it's still there. People don't expect him to go win these fights, and then he's been undefeated for how long now?
Like 4 years.
Yeah, and he's a very active fighter too. He doesn't sit around, and he beat people like Tony Ferguson, Kevin Lee, Dustin Poirier, Michael Chandler. It's freaking nuts.
Yeah.
But what he did and how badly he was beating these guys, is freaking nuts. So for him to go from being the guy that no one expects to win a fight, to being the champion and defending the belt, something Conor could never do.
Exactly.
Or never did do. Chill out, everybody. That's a big deal, and I think he deserves more respect for that. But Breakthrough Fighter of the Year candidate for sure, Charles Oliveira.
Yeah, for sure, and definitely we'll see. I hope he's fighting Gaethje first instead of Conor. He's openly said
Conor shouldn't be in the picture.
He openly said that he would wait for Conor in May, and I hope that I understand why. But I mean, he wants to make that money, but I would definitely chase it while you can, dude. But for me, like, I just want to see him fight Justin Gaethje, and then I would, if he's gonna fight anybody though, I would like to see him fight Gaethje, then Conor, because there you go. That's 3 title defenses, and to break the record of the 4th against Islam Makhachev. Because I know Islam's going to be mad that Connor's didn't get the fight, but Islam also does Ramadan, and that takes place a month before May.
Yeah.
It takes place in April, and so I think that timeline doesn't work for Islam in the first place, So I think that's something to think about as well. Like, why not make him a mega star to hype that fight up even more?
I think that it makes perfect sense.
So, and also candidate for knockout of the year, honorable mention for me was Sergio Pettis knocking out Horiguchi.
Yeah, that was freaking nuts.
Yeah.
That's like picture perfect technique going according to plan. That was nuts. Throwing the head kick over to set up the spinning back kick.
Yeah, I mean, he was losing that fight as well.
Yeah, he was getting beat up earlier in that fight.
Yeah, and so it's just the reason why I didn't pick that was because of the fact that we're trying to keep it strictly UFC, and but in my opinion, I think that's the greatest knockout of the year. And so also some more honorable mentions if you have any.
Another knockout of the year candidate for me was. Unfortunately, I'm blanking on his name right now. The guy that knocked out Joaquin Buckley with the head kick.
Oh man, I'm blanking on his name as well.
Freaking find it. This is
But
so sad.
He got slept. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah. It was so freaking bad.
Yeah. And Dricus du Plessis had a great knockout as well. I mean, who did he? Why do I not know this guy's name?
Why are we not prepared for this kind of stuff?
Right?
We're terrible. It was Alessio Di Chirico who got the head kick knockout on Joaquin Buckley. If you haven't seen that one, go look at it. It's pretty vicious. There's just a lot of wild fights this year. Wild knockouts, submissions. We had several bones break this year.
Yeah. Shout out to Chris Weidman. We'll probably see him come back 2022.
Yeah, hopefully, maybe.
Hopefully healthy as ever.
Some people don't think it's hopefully. Some people don't want to see it.
I want to see him retire. I'll be honest with you. I'll be very open about that.
I want to see him win a fight.
I want to see him win a fight.
Some people want to
see. Somebody I was watching the other day, I forgot who it was, but they want to see him running back against Uriah Hall.
I mean, well, yeah, like we didn't get to see anything. Yeah. So
I mean.
And I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
Because Uriah Hall lost.
Yeah. I mean, and then on top of that, I mean, it's I don't know. I think what's that? I really dislike how the media, not the media, but the guys who film the promotions and stuff like that for in his fight against Sean Strickland, they purposely clipped the part where Uriah Hall talks about breaking Chris Weidman's leg. And they clipped it in a way that would make it seem like Uriah Hall was like, like bragging about it, which is far from the case. Uriah Hall did, he never bragged about that openly, and I know he wishes him nothing but the best. They've been opponents, in their careers before the UFC, and they've been opponents in the UFC, and so, yeah, man. So, any dishonorable mentions before we go?
Always Conor McGregor.
Yeah. So, I mean,
and believe it or not, I'm a fan. I'm sitting underneath my Irish flag. I'm a fan of Conor McGregor. It's because I'm a fan that I want better for him.
Honorable mention, Ian Gary. Irish honorable
Ian
mention.
Gary, another debut fighter.
Yeah. Did it exactly how Conor did it.
While we're recording, we're about to end this one, but a weird thing I noticed, again, if you made it this far in the episode, please comment and let us know what your thoughts are on this, because I'm very curious with this. Almost every debut we saw this year, they had a bad first round and then came back to win it in the second round.
Yeah.
Ian Gary, Paddy Pimblett, there were several others. And I wish I could remember who they were. But there were so many. It was freaking weird. Yeah. Every single one of them, except Michael Chandler, had a bad first round and then came back and looked fantastic in the second round.
It's because he's the GOAT.
Michael Chandler?
Yeah.
All right, settle down. But yeah, let us know your thoughts for those categories. Make sure to follow our new Instagram, Devin the Bear, all lowercase, no space.
Yeah, and definitely check us out on Facebook as well. Like and share our page, please. We would highly appreciate it. It really sucks what happened with our last Instagram, but it's new year, new page, Yeah,
your trash Instagram.
Yeah, and so also shout out to Showtime for being a piece of shit.
Oh, I didn't understand that at all.
Oh, because dude, because we posted a Showtime clip.
Okay.
It got taken down. So yeah, I'm just annoyed with that. But also, be sure to listen out on this episode. It's our first episode in a little while. Recently we've had some stuff happen because of COVID, and so I'm happy that we're here doing this now, starting off the year right. So, yep.
Keep listening. Be on the lookout. We appreciate it.